We are indeed live, Mayor. I have 6:58 on my clock. If you wanted to start early since everyone's present, I wouldn't see a problem with
That's
that.
fine. Call the meeting to order. Everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, the prayer, and then please remain standing for just a brief minute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A Frostburg blessing. We are thankful for this special community, for the time we share together and the bounty of our nation. We are thankful for the commitment of our people who volunteer their time and talents to make our community a better place to live and to work and to raise a family. We know that we alone cannot meet the challenges or provide sufficient inspiration without community involvement and the dedication of all concerned to the greater good of this city and all who reside in it. We are thankful for this time and the place that is Frostburg. Amen. At this time, I'd also like to recognize the Mackey family and just make it known that the mayor and council and the city of Frostburg holds them dear in our thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. We appreciate the service they've provided to the city of Frostburg, and we want to wish them our sympathies as they grieve. Thank you.
Thank you. Whenever you're ready.
Roll call. Commissioner Ritchie?
Here.
Commissioner Carter?
Here.
Mayor Flanagan?
Here.
Commissioner Forsyth? Here. And Commissioner Grove?
Here.
Thank you very much.
All right, folks, as always, we'll need a motion and second to approve the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
And also approval of the minutes from our various departments.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Special presentations and requests. Anything there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll move to Mayor and Commissioners' reports and announcements.
I make a motion, we accept the commissioner reports.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then off to public hearings, and it's the Elaine show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elaine.
This evening, we have a public hearing regarding ordinance 2022-04. This is the fiscal year 2023 operating budget, the schedule of fees, as well as the hotel motel allocations for the year. This ordinance was presented in detail at your meeting last month, and there have been no changes since the meeting last month to any of these documents. So at this time, we would open the public hearing. Any member of the public who has any comments regarding this ordinance should please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Anyone?
Lisa Van Houten, 318 Bernard. With regards to the budget, how much of it is going to be covered by ARPA?
In each fund that is budgeted to use funds from the American Rescue Plan Act, that line item shows up as special revenue in the funds. So it shows up in the corporate fund, water fund, sewer fund, the Piney surcharge fund. The only fund that is excluded is the garbage fund. So I can refer you to the specific line items.
Why is the garbage fund not being included? Is a
At this
necessity?
time, there have been no projects identified that are needed, that meet the qualifications of eligible uses of the ARPA funds in the garbage fund.
Would recycling be part of that when we use the yard waste pickup?
I would have to investigate and see whether that would be an allowable use or not.
Okay.
At this time, most of the stuff revolving around recycling and garbage pickup. In regard
this stuff, for instance, buying a garbage truck, we don't need one at the moment. And some of the other eligible funds, we just don't necessarily need to spend the money on. Does that answer your question?
No. We have $2.4 million, which you have already allocated for this year. Okay, we got $2.4 million next year. Okay, I'm looking down the road. Okay, in terms of, can we use ARPA funds for tourism? Can we use ARPA funds for the Savage River Flow Study? That's gonna come up later.
Quite simply, most of the ARPA funds are regulated to water and sewer infrastructure and what they support.
Government services to the extent of reduction in revenue due to public health emergency relative to revenues collected in the most fiscal year. Specifically, what would that refer to? Expenditures or negative economic impacts, including assistance to small businesses, households, and hard-hit industries and economic recovery. Okay? Premium for essential workers. Investments in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. Those are what ARPA eligible services are for. Okay, so based on that, garbage is a necessary, entity in that, issue. So I'm kind of going to throw it all out there to you to say, why aren't we planning down the road? You've already spent the 2.4 million this year down the road to build an infrastructure that will sustain us and alleviate further tax increases. For lack of a better
lot of what we
definition.
are doing is water and sewer related
Yes.
to relieve tax increases on water and sewer.
Yes.
And that takes a significant amount of money.
Yes.
So that eats up a lot of it.
Yes.
As far as garbage related infrastructure that we could put in place, there's very little that we can do on our end that is feasible. We're very limited in what we can do. We're also trying to account for the fact that the dump in towards Midland is going out in 2 to 10 years. So we're trying to account for that. That is in the works. I am looking into that. There's just nothing on the budget right now because right now what we're tied up with is water and sewer to keep costs down. Garbage is on our radar. There's just nothing worth moving on at the moment.
The mayor and council will continue to evaluate projects in the coming months and years. We have until December of 2024 to obligate all of the ARPA funds and until December of 2026 to spend them. So
Right.
they will continue to evaluate the options and consider projects.
Right,
going
and
forward.
you got lots of options. You've got lots of options. So I'm just trying to throw it down there, as a seed to get you to think into next year. Because you've already
We do
spent
welcome-
We have
this
been.
year.
Believe me, Lisa, we have been.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I want to know what, when, where, why, and how. And you're still mulling
We have,
over.
we have, we have a list of priority projects, and then, it's, it's 4 levels, 4 or 5 levels. So we have them listed according to the importance, and then the next important thing, and then a kind of a wish list thing. So yeah, we are, and then we evaluate them, and then we tick off the ones that are done, we mark the ones that are underway.
Can the public get a handle on that?
These presentations are made in regular mayor and council meetings as they are updated. Yes.
So I have the 2023 draft budget ARPA project allocations, so 2024 is going to come out next year?
It'll come out as we develop projects,
Yeah.
determine eligibility.
We don't like plan for the whole thing all at once. We kind of go month by month, evaluating like how much we've already spent, because are we over or under, how much is left, can we allocate
I
that money
understand
to the next project?
And obviously, priorities are gonna change too.
Oh, I completely agree, but I think it would behoove you all to get public input before you make your decision.
Part of
That's what that
development-
survey was for too.
Part of the development of these projects involves public surveys. There have been a number of public surveys distributed.
I got
regarding
one.
rental housing property owners got
Okay.
one. There've been a number of surveys, so public input is solicited.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do I get a handle on or knowledge of those survey results?
They were presented, what,
3 months ago?
They're probably in past, I'd have to look for them for you, Lisa, but
Lydia Clark would have.
yeah, a rundown of survey results would have been in a previous mayor and council meeting, and if not specifically, it would have been referenced in one, and we could talk to our ARPA coordinator about those results and sharing them with you.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to close this public hearing.
Our next public hearing is for ordinance 2022-05. This ordinance would amend subsections of the Frostburg Code pertaining to the city's procurement processes and policies in order to revise the threshold amounts for certain exceptions to the competitive bidding requirements. This also was presented in detail last month. At this time, we would welcome public comment on the ordinance. Anyone who would like to should go to this podium, state their name and address for the record.
Anyone? Okay, close that public hearing.
Hello. Hayden Lindsay. I'll give a quick update on CSO projects throughout the city. We have 2 underway at the moment, Phase 9B and Phase 9C. They're both in the FSU Bell Elementary area on Center Street and College Avenue. 9B is moving along. It should finish up in the late spring, early summer timeframe. And 9C is just getting started. That project will last longer than a year, but it is moving along. The only other stuff we have in the works as far as CSO projects is Phase 10A. Those designs hit my desk today, and they are under my review. That should go out to bid by the end of summer. We have some other projects coming up in the future, but as for now, they are just in their preliminary phases. If anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Hayden. Appreciate your time.
Where can I get a copy of that?
For the
That operating budget you put right up there?
It's downloadable right from our website. If you want to, look, I'll show you on the big screen. This is our website, www.
Yeah, I know your website, so I
Okay.
guess my question is, why wasn't it attached with the agenda?
It is attached to the agenda.
Not mine.
oh, you mean the agenda that was passed out?
I'd be glad to give you a copy.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure, no problem. Moving on to old business, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you. We have ordinance 2022-04, fiscal year 2023 operating budget and schedule of rates and fees. Ms. Elaine Jones, our Director of Finance, has given you a rundown of the budget ordinance that is proposed. And unless there are any other questions or discussions, I would ask for a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2022-04 on the second reading.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2022-04 on the second reading.
Second?
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next item is ordinance number 2022-05 to amend subsections, a number of them, of section 3.6 of the Frostburg Code pertaining to the city's procurement processes and policies in order to revise the threshold amounts for certain exemptions to the competitive bidding requirements. Our Director of Finance, Elaine Jones, has also described that ordinance and what it entails. And unless there are any further discussion or questions, we would ask for a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2022-05 on its second reading.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2022-05 on the second reading. Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Moving on to new business. We have Resolution 2022-14 authorize the submission of an annual report to the Maryland Department of Planning. This report comes out of my office, and you'll see it on the screen above. What we are required to send to the Maryland Department of Planning annually is a report describing the number of single-family dwelling permits we have issued in a calendar year. This report is for the calendar year 2021, and we were very pleased to report that we issued 9 single-family dwelling building permits within the city limits of Frostburg. That's very good for us, and that's all very much in part to the fact that we have 2 subdivisions currently in development. So unless there are any questions or further discussion on that, I would ask for a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2022-14 for the Maryland Department of Planning Annual Report.
I'll make a motion, we approve Resolution 2022-14.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any public comment?
Yes, you said it was for calendar year 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
You have on here residential calendar year 2020. Sorry.
I see that, and I apologize for that typographical error. This is a form that is provided to me from the Maryland Department of Planning, and I don't have the ability to change what they've provided to me. I can only fill in my portions of the form.
You can also,
We'll make a
Let
note
them
of
know,
that,
yeah.
certainly.
yeah, just to be accurate.
Anyone else?
No problem. Good catch, I appreciate it.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is Resolution 2022-15. This resolution is to appoint Maureen Brewer to the Frostburg Historic District Commission for a 3-year term. Commissioner Brewer has served previously with distinction, and her volunteerism and service to our community is very much appreciated. Mayor and council do have the authority to appoint members to commissions and to ask staff to solicit resumes. And it is staff's recommendation to reappoint Commissioner Brewer to the Frostburg Historic District Commission based on her distinguished service.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-15.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any public comment? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
This evening, I'm
Sorry, go right ahead.
This evening, we also have Resolution 2022-16, which would declare the intent to reimburse expenditures to be incurred from future projects with funds from the proceeds of debt remaining from the 2019 CDA bond issuance from the renovations from 37 Broadway. That original debt instrument was $2.8 million, and the entirety of that was not needed for the construction of this building based on the capital grant we received and the bond bills. So therefore, the resolution is needed to therefore move forward with seeking to reallocate that unused funds from the CDA loan prior to any expenditures being incurred. So the remaining amount available is $214,412, and this resolution would give permission to move forward in that process of seeking that reallocation. So I would ask for your consideration of this resolution with a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2022-16, an opportunity for public comment and a vote.
So it's just for reallocation, not for any targeted project.
Correct. It's another process that we would have to go through with additional public hearings once the specific projects are identified. This just allows us to move forward with seeking the process of the reallocation.
Understood. Well, I move we approve Resolution 2022-16.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any public comment? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
And this evening, we also have Resolution 2022-17, which would approve an application to the Community Development Block Grant Program for funding of the construction of a new Frostburg child care facility. So we have conducted the appropriate public hearings prior to this regarding some of the elements of the CDBG program, and this resolution would authorize the city to submit that application and authorize the mayor to sign any required documents. So I'd ask for a motion and a second, an opportunity for public comment and a vote.
Make a motion that we approve Resolution 2022-17.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any public comment?
This is a matching grant.
The CDBG application would not be a matching grant. The city has been notified of a potential earmark from Attorney's Office, but this does not have a specific city match that I'm aware of.
Okay. Again, is this something we can use ARPA funds for to help offset some of the, costs?
It is a qualifying expenditure, but the city is trying to save ARPA funds for projects that do not have other funding sources available. And since CDBG would be a different funding source, we would prefer to set aside the ARPA funds only for.
But it's eligible nonetheless.
Yes, it is eligible.
Okay. So,
In fact, I think it first came up as an ARPA
Yeah,
project.
it was.
Indeed.
yeah.
And we've got an earmark for it now, so
Mhm.
we probably won't need much ARPA to complete it.
What does an earmark mean for you?
That Congressman Trump basically has put it in there, his list of 15 items that, and we've been approved for, so that the bulk of the money is gonna come from the federal government.
Okay.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Resolution 2022-18 to authorize the Maryland Department of Natural Resources to perform temperature and data monitoring and work with city representatives to adjust flow from Savage Springs and wells with the intent of studying options for improving native brook trout habitat in the Savage River upstream of the dam. Hayden Lindsay, our Director of Public Works, will go over this resolution with you.
Yes, so this resolution was brought to us by an organization interested in helping the fish population in Maryland, specifically brook trout. What they asked of us, Trout Unlimited is the organization, what they asked of us was to potentially shut off the water at our Savage Springs location and just pull water from Piney Reservoir for a period of 6 to 24 hours so that they could conduct some tests downstream and see how it affected temperature and flow rate in the upper Savage watershed. What this would mean for us was that we would shut off water for whatever duration they asked for. They would conduct tests, and then they would come back to us with what those tests revealed. It is my recommendation as city engineer and as the person most solely responsible for ensuring the city has water to not pursue this. I have been running the numbers. It does not seem prudent for us to shut off the water, especially when they would like to pursue these tests. They want to do these tests during the driest times of the summer, which is also the time that we're using the most amount of water. If anyone has any questions, I would be happy to go into detail and elaborate. I can pretty much answer any question you have, but it is my recommendation to not pursue these tests. It could get us into some sticky situations, especially if we had a fire late at night where we're pumping a couple tens of thousands of gallons of water. We don't want to run short, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
I had another question occur to me when we were discussing this. Would the process of turning the pumps off and on also potentially cause problems?
It can. So we pretty much have the pumps operating at optimal capacity 24/7. At the springs, we never shut them down. And the turn off and turn back on process, it does add wear and tear to the pumps, especially when we have them just humming at optimal capacity. So the damage to the pumps is minimal, but if they want to do a lot of tests, it adds up. So yes.
Which, if the study, most likely, it will show that they want us to do it regularly, then it would add up after a while.
Correct.
but not necessarily cause a failure.
Depends on how long you go for.
Okay, okay. Well, now it starts getting tricky because if we, like, okay, we really need to turn them on because the reservoir is running dry, then, and if there's a failure at the springs and wells, then we're really in
Then we're stuck.
trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
How old are those pumps?
The ones at Savage Springs, they range from 5 to 15 years. So we've had stuff out there for 50 years. The ones out there now are between 5 and 15.
Can we coordinate when we replace a pump?
We can. I mean, it's all on us. Whenever we want to replace them, we own them. So
But I'm thinking of Travel Unlimited saying, okay, we've got to replace a pump, you know, the water flow is going to be shut by 25%, you know, run your test now.
the issue is not necessarily when we want to replace the pumps. The issue would more so be of, say the pumps are off, and then we need the water. We go to turn the pumps back on, and we have an issue with them. Then we're caught.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm saying, is don't shut them all off, just shut two.
It's kind of an all-in-one system. Yeah.
And from a life safety, fire protection, I agree 1,000%. I am speaking on behalf of the fire department. I was at the work session, I took the information back, and you're spot on. There's no one going to answer the phone at 3 o'clock when the business district is burning down. So,
One of the things that they mentioned when they were here presenting was that temperature matters as much as flow, and perhaps we can offer to help them speak with some of the neighbors along that tributary to plant riparian shade. I know it takes a while to mature, but you know, it might achieve, you know, the
Cooler
same.
temperatures.
Yeah.
And it all adds up.
Yeah.
They reach their end goal, and we don't have to run the risk of losing
Yeah.
a gallon of water.
If it makes you feel better too, majority of the water we pull from over there comes from underground aquifers that never make it to the surface. So even if we did shut the water off, the returns they would see would be minimal. I did the math this past
So the
week.
majority comes from the wells, not the springs?
Correct.
All right, well, we got to vote it up or down, so just want to do roll call vote, starting with Adam. Yeah.
Nay.
Fine.
Nay.
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 Nay for me. Thank you, Adam. Or thank you, Hayden, for
I know we were pretty willing at the work session, but
Yeah.
upon consideration,
It's-
it seems the wisest thing not to put it in danger.
It's possible, but I wouldn't think it would be prudent.
Thank you. Yeah. Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, thank you.
Good evening.
I have the monthly report for you for the Police Department for the month of April 2022. We had 664 incidents compared to 741 incidents in 2021. I was just kind of skimmed down through, as you know, 13 arrests total, 2 C3I cases. This time I started logging community policing activities. Community policing is really a philosophy where it's not so much a specific activity as it is a day-to-day interactive approach with the community. But I started asking people to log, you know, when they're at an event or when they're doing something really community-oriented that's identifiable. So we had 13 of those logged for the month of April, 31 parking violations, 15 well-being checks, 29 requests, excuse me, for a police officer, 28 follow-up activities, 39 disturbances, 12 motor vehicle crashes, and 92 traffic stops. Always out doing our policing duties, patrolling our neighborhoods, checking the community, making arrests, doing our enforcement things, creating positive interactions with the public. Still doing a lot of special good events. No special order. The Frostburg Arts Walk went really well. We did a prescription take-back event with the Elks down on East Main Street. That was another fantastic event. So we collected medications, but also gave out drug awareness and drug abuse prevention materials and those sorts of things. We did a cell phone or seatbelt enforcement initiative in April, which I may have talked about last time, but that's through grant funding from the Maryland Highway Safety Office. They will pay the enforcement over time, most of the cost of an officer coming out specifically to address those issues. We had the incident with some juveniles that turned out, getting into vehicles, breaking windshield wipers off, vandalizing the cars and stealing things. We got some great information from the community, some great assistance that led to the forwarding of charges to juvenile services against two 14-year-olds. So in the grand scheme of things, they're certainly not the most serious crimes or delinquent acts in the world, but they draw a lot of attention and make people very uneasy. So we appreciate the community's help in that, and we were glad to bring that to a successful resolution. Congratulations to the fire department on a successful fishing rodeo. We were up there. It was a very nice event, and we were glad to represent the police department along with Commissioner Grove. And we did Fish with a Cop with the Cumberland Valley Optimist Club. That was really neat. Lieutenant Seiss and Corporal Cook took some use with a number of our law enforcement colleagues to the patch in Midland, and they had a great morning of fishing. So just another one of those things to build positive interactions. And just a couple of days ago this week, we participated in the mock crash event down at Mountain Ridge High School. The Cumberland Police Department, Lieutenant Tichnell coordinates that, and pretty much all of the first responders in this area, including our department, attend that. And it's really, it's really eye-opening, and it's very educational for the students there at the school. So we were glad to be a part of that, and appreciate Cumberland coordinating it and having us again. So that would conclude my report, just kind of a rundown from April. I'm glad to elaborate or discuss anything further that you'd like.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Before
Chief.
you go, the well-being checks, is that knock on the door or is it a phone call?
Knock on the door. Typically, 99% of the time they're knock on the door. They can be a vast array of circumstances. They can be medical issues. Sometimes they can be an elderly person who someone hasn't heard from for a while. They can be mental health checks. A lot of times that's what they are. Somebody's maybe suicidal or possibly suicidal. Often those will lead to the next line, emergency petitions, when we make somebody go to the hospital for an evaluation. But they can cover a diverse array, so 99% of the time, roughly, they are knocks on the door.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you all.
Open public
We have
comment.
one more item, I'm sorry, Mayor, pardon me. Open public comment
Well,
for anyone who may wish to speak.
These have covered it. Anybody else want to say anything?
Please come to the
Come to the
podium
podium,
and
state
say
your
your
name and
name.
address for the final record.
He's the ones out of here.
Appropriate, I'm going to try it, you can throw me out if it isn't. But, my name is Jim Heinbaugh, candidate for state delegate District 1A, which now includes part of Frostburg. With the loss in population in Garrett County, the boundary shifted east, all the boundaries shifted east. So I think it's precinct 26 and 11 in Frostburg, they're now part of District 1A. So I had, I'll be real brief, I had emailed Elizabeth and asked her a couple minutes just to come in and introduce myself, and that's what I'd like to do. I wanted to first of all tell you I'm running for delegate for District 1A, and just real quick a little bit about my background. I was,
Are you electioneering?
say again?
Are you electioneering?
I'm just, I don't know, I'm just introducing myself. I've done it with all the towns. I've been to all the other towns in the district in Allegheny County, and so I'm not asking anybody to vote for me. I'm just telling you that I filed and what my background is. Now, if that's inappropriate, I won't do it.
I'm not sure what the...
This 3 minutes. Just keep
3
it
minutes.
very brief.
Okay, well, real quick, I'm Garrett County native, went to Frostburg State for a couple years, quit, got drafted, went to the military, went to officers candidate school, ended up staying in the military for 29 years and retired. Came back to Garrett County to be a director of economic development, did that for 17 years. We had a lot of success during that period of time. We reduced unemployment from 14%, annual unemployment from 14% to less than 5%, created 3,000 new jobs in a 10-year period. I'm on my second term as county commissioner right now. We've had a lot of success, done a good job, especially working with the 8 incorporated municipalities in the town. So I won't go any further than that at the risk of, I don't want to
I
violate
think it's a
anything.
proper introduction, yeah.
Okay.
We've, Commissioner Shea was in front of us, but he was in front of us actually for something related to us. So that's why I just asked you to keep it very brief.
That's
Okay?
all. That's,
All right, Jim, nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thanks. Anyone else?
According to City Code, the ballot shall be mailed to registered voters no sooner than 35 days and no later than 25 days prior to the date of election. When were the ballots mailed? Because I
Friday.
haven't received mine.
I got mine.
Mine came in the mail today. Mine came like 2 or 3
Came
days.
yesterday.
They were mailed out on Friday.
Okay.
I heard from people that were receiving them pretty hot and heavy yesterday, and they said,
Yeah,
I got
mine
mine
today.
came today.
Okay, all right. So Friday was what, the 20?
I mean, the mail has definitely improved over the last number of months, so.
Okay, all right. Last month you talked about property increases of 1.2%. And this month you're talking about garbage, water, sewer increase. What percentage of the increase is that?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Are you referring to the increase in the assessments?
Yeah.
On property taxes?
Well, that was 1.2%, but apparently you now have a garbage, water, sewer increase as well for the new
We
budget.
aren't changing any of
No.
the water and sewer
All the
rates
fees stayed
in
the
this
same.
budget.
Okay,
There were only 2 fee changes, and they had to do with construction.
okay, all right. I'd like to make a suggestion to create a recycle center on the property near where Frostburg grows to offset where we take it now, wherever that is. And I'm wondering if the ARPA funds are available to purchase a PTO compost turner and a tractor and possibly an old FEMA building out in that vicinity. Charge non-city compost drop off at $5 per vehicle to help pay for staffing personnel, and have the recycle center open Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, 10 to 2 to register and verify cards with Maryland license. Anybody who wants the composted material should have free pickup. It's just something, again, down the road.
There's actually a gentleman who was hoping to open a company here locally. To do
Composting
composting.
Uh-huh.
So if that doesn't fly, maybe something to talk about, but that would be putting us between private industry, and I don't think we want to do that.
Okay.
Another thing too, Lisa, we are putting, we're gonna have 4 cardboard recycling dumpsters put throughout the city.
Mm-hmm.
One's gonna go at Mount Pleasant, one's going to Glendenning, one's going to the, by the rec building down here. And
I'm
the other-
thinking more yard waste.
Okay,
That's
Okay.
already, we collect yard waste.
Yeah, and,
Well, that's a
and that's kind of where I'm going with this, is the yard waste.
yeah,
Mexico Farms is
Yeah.
probably where you dump
it
it.
is,
Okay,
yeah,
but if you can save money by creating your own and letting,
right.
you know, the citizens drop off there,
That's definitely discussions that we've been
Yeah.
having, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Actually, we're having other discussions too, just about reducing the amount of garbage that goes to the landfill.
Mhm.
Right,
So we're in discussions about various ways we can do that.
Okay.
And if this young
Yeah,
man
and
gets
cost
his composting facility, I mean, it won't be just yard waste, it'll be food waste from the supermarket, the restaurants, the schools, et cetera.
saying that,
So-
I wouldn't go down that road because that brings in way too many diseases.
Oh, he's doing it very scientifically, he's doing
Okay.
all these tests.
Okay.
And again,
Yeah.
this would be a private company, we wouldn't have
Yeah.
anything in it, but,
Mhm.
yeah, so, we're
Okay,
gonna see where that plays out,
okay,
okay?
thank you.
Anyone else? Try this one more time. Thank you all, have a good evening.